melt some butter or margarine in a pan, and then to that I am going to add my plain flour, which is going to create our roux. And the reason why we use plain flour is because it's got starch in it, and the process of gelatinisation thickens the sauce. So the starch grains will absorb the liquid as they get to a certain temperature, and then they start to release the amylase that is within the starch grains, and then that thickens the liquid once it gets to about 85 degrees, and then at 100 degrees the process of gelatinisation is complete and your sauce will be a thickened consistency. I am using 25 grams of butter, and to that I am just going to add in 25 grams of plain flour, and that is going to create our roux. So our roux is the paste of fat and flour that is going to be used to thicken our sauce. Okay, and it could be used to thicken a veloute, which we're doing today, which is I'm just going to use chicken stock, or you could use vegetable stock, or it could be to thicken a bechamel sauce, which would be adding milk to it, or an infused veloute. So it's the basis to lots of different sauces. So to that paste we are just going to add a bit at a time our stock, turning down the heat so that we can combine it together. So I am using a whisk. You can do it with a wooden spoon if you choose, and you can see that because my stock is hot, that actually it's thickening quite quickly. So we're just going to add that in. If you're adding a cold liquid like milk to it, it will take a little bit longer to reach temperature. So add a little bit in at a time and whisk it to remove any lumps. If you added all of your liquid in at once, you are more likely to get lumps, as it wouldn't whisk through quite as easily. Okay. And if you added flour to the hot liquid, that would also create lumps as well. So if you find that once you have got to boiling point, your sauce isn't as thick as you need it to, you can always either mix up a bit of water, a bit of plain flour with some cold water and make a paste, and then add that into it and whisk it together, and that would thicken it. Or you could actually just kind of mix together some butter and some flour, and again whisk that in, so that you can see that actually, because it's hot stock, it is thickening quite quickly. And we're just adding a bit in at a time. And the different consistencies, so we're wanting a coating consistency which would coat the back of the spoon, and if we were adding it to pasta, for example, it would coat and cling to our pasta. If you were making let's say a white sauce that you would be serving with your Christmas pudding, you'd want it more of a pouring consistency, so you would have a higher ratio of liquid. I've used 25 grams of flour, 25 grams of fat and 250 millilitres of liquid for this. And you can just see that we get that coating consistency because it coats the back of the spoon. So I am just going to turn up the heat slightly, because it's just lost that heat with that last bit of stock going in for the process of gelatinisation to fully complete. So you can see that it's now bubbling, so that is your sauce completed. You may just want to cook it out for a little bit longer if it tastes a bit floury,